It's very white. It's all a lot of very white
100%.
books.
Yes.
Basically, that's the bottom line
Mhm.
of it. And that's the thing, we hear about a lot of these book bans, but that, as you've explained it, that is sort of a trickle down repercussion
Mhm.
of this negative rhetoric around CRT, where books like just simple children's book about which have a BIPOC protagonist, or discuss any sort of thing that isn't white centered, and for one reason or the other it sort of ends up on the banned books list. It becomes it becomes ridiculous in the
Mhm.
whole process.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So,
does.
yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Um, yeah, so, these bans, again, I'm thinking back to what happened in 2010 in Arizona. It's a violent process because some of these,
Mm.
actors on behalf of the school district came into classrooms, students' classrooms, and took
Oh,
posters off
wow.
the wall and boxed up the books and walked out with them, and students were in tears, they were crying, because they knew, um what was being taken from them. And
Right.
when what you're left with is this homogenizing sort of
Mm.
approach to education, my students and I talk about this all the time in relation to a lot of different things that happen in education when it comes to language, when it comes to how history is taught, when it comes to what is preferenced, right? Um, if there is something called a standard or the norm or tradition, it's always there's a metric for that. It's based on something that is not
Right.
admitted to and not discussed honestly and openly and transparently with students. And so we are taught that if the only people who built this country, for instance, were white people, where does that put me?
Mm.
If the only people who are
Right.
heroes of this nation's story were white people, where does that put people
Mhm.
like me? And so you start to internalize and believe that your people are incapable or that they're monsters, right? Because
Right.
that's somehow how sometimes how we're
Right.
cast. Um, and so the self-hatred starts, all of those sorts of really horrific things that don't result in positive learning experiences, but also
Right.
good futures for our children.
Right. And on top of that, like, you have discussions of literally the I mean, I don't even know how to put this, but it's not exactly an erasure of slavery and our history of slavery, but it's like, yes, slavery was good for black people. And when I heard that for the first time, it was shocking that they're trying to sort of I guess reword
Mhm.
narratives that slavery taught black people essential skills that otherwise they would not have had, and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. But that's the thing. That is, it's sort of like trying to not take responsibility for what has happened
Yeah.
in history to people who are minorities
Mhm.
in this country.
Yeah, just being honest, right, about what the history is,
Right.
and we've had different discussions with my college age students about when
Mm,
is too early, when is too young to introduce, students to some of
mm,
these ideas, but the point I made to them is that how old were you when you learned about Thanksgiving? How old were you when you
right.
were taught to say the Pledge of Allegiance or to sing some of the,
Hmm.
Sea to Shining Sea, Manifest Destiny songs, right?
Right.
You are already being taught in a very politicized,
Right.
uh, biased way